alive. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be, that was like a mix between everybody and everyone. I said everyone. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be, well, what are we going to be doing? This is a live English class. If you're watching it later, it's not live. Sorry, you missed it. But it's being recorded live. I mean, we're live streaming right now. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. We're going to be doing, as usual, the Q&A. Very important. And also, I'm going to be talking about a powerful exercise that you can do to improve your spoken English. And in fact, you can use it to improve your written English if you're that crazy. So, get your questions ready. If you don't know me, I am an English teacher from the United States. And I am currently, let's see, having a coffee, sitting in a chair, talking to you. Yeah. Oh, and it's still, if you're watching this much later, kind of a situation where everything's closed. So a lot more time to be at home. Let's see. Before we really get started, I want to just quickly update the cover and whatnot. I've got to do that on the fly these days. That's just how it rolls. So let me quickly do that. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it. You may not think it's a big deal, but it's a big deal. I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like or the thumbs up button. That really helps out the channel, supports the channel. Seems like not a big deal, but it's the perhaps most important thing. If you want to see future videos and such, it's ASMR now. Mukbang, coffee ASMR mukbang. That's the worst sound, isn't it? Terrible. I'm so sorry to those of you who are like me, who are annoyed by that sort of thing. What was I saying? Yes, like button, thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see future videos. And also, if you want to seriously improve your English, you can check out my full courses in the links in the description. Those are at 60% off right now, so you can check those out. All right. Okay. All right. I think I've got it all set now. Good news. Just share it to the old group, and then we'll be ready to go. The mysterious group. Everyone always asks me about the group. I refuse to talk about it. Let's see. Here we go. It's gonna load here. Give me a second, everybody. Give me a second. All right. There we go. Okay. Well, I hope you guys are having a good President's Day. I hope you don't ask me any questions about President's Day because I know basically nothing about it. I see Octavio has said Happy President's Day. I'm getting a little nervous because I don't know anything about President's Day, and I don't even know if I care enough about President's Day to find out anything about President's Day. It may be an unfortunate thing, right? But, yeah. I should know a lot more than I know. I know nothing. I don't know why. Why are we celebrating? Can someone find out? What is the deal with President's Day? Why do people have a day off today? It's ridiculous, right? Is this just an American thing? I should know this. I feel like I should know these things, and yet I don't. It's really shocking. So many things I don't know. Tomaz says, I've already described both your channels. They are worth it. Thanks, Tomaz. Much appreciated. That's great to hear. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Karina says, hello. Hello, Karina. Always here from Facebook. Fantastic. Great. Tavo is here. That's good news. Can't start without Tavo. That's what I always say. Tavo, you're not always here, but I always say that. Every time. Can't start without Tavo, is what I say. All right. Well, for the questions, what we usually do is, or what I usually say is, if you've got questions about grammar, pronunciation, culture, but not President's Day, idioms, phrases, vocabulary, I guess, that sort of thing. But whatever. Think about the things you're struggling with right now in your current stage of development. What are you dealing with? And then ask a question about that, because it's likely if you're struggling with something, someone else is struggling with it, and by asking the question, if we can get a decent answer and I don't completely blow it, then it will be useful to someone else as well. Okay? Now, if you sometimes miss the live streams and you don't have time to watch a whole live stream, I get it. There's a hair on my eye. I get it. I totally get it. You can subscribe. There it is. I got it. Problem solved. Problem solved. Yeah. You can subscribe on the other channel. That one's in the recommended. The recommended one is clips. So we take each question and answer and put them on that channel for those of you who miss the live streams but still want to get the interesting questions that come up. So I would recommend going over to that one just so that you can, in case you miss a live stream, I know that they're very irregular, and I cannot hope to expect you to come to every live stream, obviously, right? No one has the time for every single one. They're very irregular. Well, in that case, you can check out the channel that I'm going to post in the chat right now. So let me just pop this into the chat really quickly. Then some questions. Then I have a topic I want to talk about. Okay. Here we go. There you go. You guys can follow that one. All right. Amine says, hi, Luke. Nihat says, hey, bud, how you been? I'm doing okay. If you're asking me, Nihat, how about you? Learn English Live said, that's a great idea about using clips. Ooh, are we competitors? Too bad I'm giving out great ideas. Mary McCain has a question. How can I maintain my coherency when I'm in the middle of an important point, or important period of time? Can you clarify that a little bit, Mary McCain? You mean when you're speaking about something, how do you make sure you stick with what you're speaking about and don't get off track, right? Like I do. How do you do that, right? Is that correct? Chemicala says, my struggle in English is related to writing. I don't know how to solve this one. Chemicala, can you be a little more specific? What about writing is a challenge for you? What specific thing? All right. Well, I think we can take on Mary's question. That's a good one. And then I see a question from Tomas as well. So we can maybe take on that one as well. Okay. Mary McCain says, how can I maintain my coherency when I'm in the middle of an important period of time? And I think we can change that to say when I'm in the middle of saying something. I think that's what Mary is going for. Mary as in Marilyn Monroe, apparently. So, this is a really good question. Let's say what the problem might be. You have a lot of things to talk about. And you want to make sure that when you're in the middle of talking about one thing, that you're able to move on to the next thing without getting lost, right? And maybe an interesting way to think about it is to think about what I'm doing right now. So I haven't seen Mary's question before. I didn't know she was going to ask it. And so I'm trying to answer her question in a coherent, somewhat, hopefully, coherent and logical way without getting lost in my head. Now, if I'm successful in doing that, then we can ask ourselves the question of what's going on in my head when I'm talking about a question like this, when I'm answering a question like this. And I can answer that pretty simply. What I'm doing is I'm outlining points in my head. Now, that may seem a little difficult, but if you practice it, it really is very effective to have a little map in your head, and you go from one point to the next, and then your only question is, how do I say it? If you can do that, if you can get good at that, then it's much less likely that you will get lost in what you're saying, right? So this is a thing we do we start in middle school, even in high school. We are asked by our teachers to write about something we read, a passage, a summary about something, a short essay, 3 or 4 pages, 4 to 5 pages. In university, 25 to 100 pages. But it's all the same thing. What you do first is you write the bones down on a piece of paper. You take a piece of paper, or you do it on your computer, and you write down a basic structure. But you try to keep that as simple as you can. These are simply, it's not what you're going to say, really. It's not the full thing, rather. It's not the whole description. It is just the basic ideas in the correct order. So, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to give 2 examples. Then I'm going to talk about the next thing. I'm going to give 2 examples. Or, if it's simpler, like a question like this, I'm going to mention my own experience, then I'm going to give a specific example and some background information, and then I'm going to give a recommendation. Something like that. Now, to do that in your head and on a piece of paper, I realize 2 very different things. But it's the same idea. What you can do then is start by making simple outlines on paper and then speaking to those ideas. So you ask yourself a question, any sort of open question that takes a couple minutes to answer. Then you make a simple outline mentioning the things that you want to talk about. Think of this as a map. I'm going from this point to this point. Following that, I'll go to this point, and then I'm going to stop. It's just a map. If you can do it in 1 word for each point, great, fantastic, as long as you know where you're going. In my head, I know where I'm going right now. Right? Where am I going? Then you speak that, ideally recording, right? You talk through your points. You talk through your map. You look at your map. You can sit there and stare at the map if you want to the whole time. And you just talk through it for a couple minutes. Okay, step 1. Well, that's step 1 and 2. Then you try to do that in your mind. You ask yourself the same question, or maybe a different question, and instead of writing it down, take a couple of seconds to think about just the main points. This, the next, and the next thing. Okay, 3 things. That's all I have to remember. 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Okay, got it. Then you talk about those things. Now, there are a lot of different methods for remembering these. If there are many points, there's a technique called the memory palace that I've talked about before, which is extremely powerful. Public speakers use it. People who remember many numbers, like the digits of pi, use it. It's very powerful. But if it's just a few points, then just remember those 3 things. Practice talking through them. Then push yourself a little further. Rather than giving yourself a few seconds to think about it, try to just start and build your map as you go, which is what I generally do when I answer a question like this. I'm building a map as I'm speaking so that I know what I'm moving toward after I say something. And as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, okay, then what's the next thing? And it just gets easier with practice. That's all it is. So you practice it, starting with a piece of paper, starting with your map, and then go from there and keep pushing it so that it's always a little bit challenging or very challenging. And you'll get good at it, and you'll find yourself doing it in conversations. I use it in conversations. When I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm building maps about what I'm saying so that I don't get lost, so that I don't become one of those people who start rambling on about things that have no relevance to what I'm really trying to say because I got lost over there. That's what I don't want to happen. I want to prevent that. So I build a map. Hopefully that works. It certainly works for me. If you guys try it out, let me know how it works for you. Start with a piece of paper. Start by writing it down, okay? If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Also, would appreciate a thumbs up or a like. That really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. Okay, good question from Mary McCain, for sure. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. So Tamaz says, is it worth learning about mixed conditionals? Yes, it definitely is. Those are very useful. I would say, though, that's one thing that I'm not sure if I can do in my head, to give some really good, memorable examples of mixed conditionals that would actually answer the question well to fully cover the topic. That might be a good topic for sort of a main thing to talk about that I prepared for. In fact, you know what? I'm going to write that down, and maybe I can talk about that next week as my main topic. Good one. Thank you. Thank you, Tamaz. It's another tough thing, deciding which thing is, which thing is going to be a topic for the future and which thing is not. Ew. Philippe says, could you explain to me how to learn advanced vocabulary quickly? Advanced vocabulary quickly. Okay. But then Chemikala also has the question about writing. I'd like to talk about that one if you have a little bit more detail. Hi, Luke. How is the weather in New York? Moa says, hi, Luke. How's the weather in New York? Is it snowing there? It was. So, says, hi, Luke. How's the weather like in New York? Is it snowing there? We would say, what's the weather like in New York? Or, how's the weather? Very common question, right? What's the weather like? If you want to use like, you would say what. What is the weather like? Or, how's the weather? Those are equivalent. So New York is on the east coast of the United States, farther north. And so in the winter, we get a lot of snow, tons of snow. Well, it's not always snowing, but when it snows, it really snows. And in previous years, I've always felt very kind of satisfied because I've always worked from home. So I walk out on my balcony and I look at those poor, poor idiots after a big snowstorm shoveling their cars out. Because in New York, we have a lot of street parking. There isn't a lot of space, if you live in an apartment building like I do, for parking under the building. Some buildings have it, some don't. So a lot of people park on the street. So in the morning, people are getting up, shoveling, trying to get all the snow out. You might get this much snow, but then because these snow plows drive through, they push all of the snow like a mountain over the cars. And so there's even more from the snow plows. And I've always sat on my balcony and looked down at those poor humans smugly, laughing to myself. I don't have to deal with that. But then I recently started driving again, so now I do have a car parked on the street. And so now I'm the poor idiot shoveling. But the problem is I waited too long this most recent snow. So I wanted to go somewhere, but unfortunately my car was snowed in. And unfortunately, I waited too long, so instead of it being fluffy white snow that I could easily just shovel out of the way of my car, it was muddy, dirty ice blocks. It was solid ice. So I didn't have a shovel, so I had to go buy a shovel. So I bought a shovel for $15 from the corner store, and I started hacking away at the snow. It's not like snow. It's like ice. Just a giant mountain of brown ice in front of my car. And within 10 minutes, the shovel had been destroyed. Just shattered to pieces. Because I'm just trying to kill the snow. the ice rather. And so then I had to wait a couple days. I couldn't go anywhere that day. I got a new shovel from Amazon that was much better quality. I went out again, and I spent about an hour just smashing the ice. It took me an hour to clear it all away. I was so exhausted, and I thought, this is what I deserve for laughing at people over the last few years when I see them shoveling their cars out. This is karma. This is what I deserve for feeling smug in the past. And now they're probably looking down on me with a smug expression on their faces as they sip their hot cocoa. So I deserve it. But I got it out, finally. It's just not very convenient. And the lesson I learned is always shovel the snow immediately after the snow finishes so that it's easy to move around. It's still soft and hasn't turned to solid ice. A good lesson learned. Thanks for the question, Omoa. Guys, if you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you could hit the like button. That would be most appreciated. Also, subscribe so that you can see future videos, when those come up. And also, check out my full courses on sale in the links in the description. Okay. Yes, sir. Thanks, Tomas. Much appreciated. Sorry I didn't get to it this time. It's just one of those topics, which it's a little more complicated, Tom Kloppy says, is this a pre-record? Yes, this is pre-recorded. That's correct. Now ask yourself how a pre-recorded video could be answering your live question. Ask yourself that. I foresaw it. I foresaw it in the future. I knew that you would ask. Mary says, Nahat, I watched your previous interview with Luke. You were shining, sir. Nice to meet you. Shining is a good word. Shining. Very nice. Hey, Luba's here. Awesome. Good stuff. Amine says, when I talk during a meeting, I feel stuck. I can't find the word. I feel really awkward. Any advice? Yes. Good one. Awesome question. Awesome. Huang Trong. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. Hello, Luke. Oh, hi, Luke. Hello. Greetings. Tom Kloppy, that's a good question. I think I can get to that one next. All right. Amine says, often when I talk during a meeting, I feel stuck. I can't find the work. I think you mean words. I feel really awkward. Any advices? Advice is uncountable. So it'd be advice. We can never count advice. You can look up countable and uncountable nouns. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so we often have meetings, especially now that we're on Zoom a lot, meetings online where we have to talk about something, present something, and it can be challenging and stressful when you have to present something or talk about something when English is not your first language. But most people are communicating in English because if you have a mixed nationality work environment, it's the only option, generally. So what can you do to improve your confidence and this feeling of, I can't find the right word? And there are a couple different things going on. Number one is there's a natural instinct to write everything down. And I don't want to say don't do that, because that can certainly reduce stress. if you have a long presentation and you have some notes that you're following and most of it is written down, the bonus of that is that you'll make sure you say the words that you want to say. The downside of that is that it will feel less engaging, feel less authentic. It'll feel less like you're actually interacting with your colleagues. So that's the pro and the con of that. The ideal is to be able to just speak and make sure you're saying what you want to say, and it feels more genuine, authentic, and you're interacting with your colleagues rather than just spraying words at them when you're reading a script that you wrote before the meeting. And also, if you have to write a script for every meeting, it's very time-consuming. It's not something you want to do. It's something that you want to try to move away from. But there's a compromise there. The compromise is if there are some really important words that you want to make sure you use, just write those down. So maybe there are 8 words that you want to make sure you mention, very important words, either specific to your role or just really important words that you want to make sure you say as you're explaining this slide or that slide. Just write those down in notes somewhere on your computer, and you can glance at that as you're speaking. Now, this is a sort of nice middle area, right? I really recommend using the outline structure. But the danger with an outline is that an outline gets too close to a script, that you write way too much with your outline, and then you can't use it anymore, because an outline should be something you can quickly glance at and know what's next. But if it's more like a script and you're going to be tempted to just read it, but if it's not word for word, then you can get lost more easily, right? So if you do a script, you have to do the whole thing. If you feel confident in what you're talking about, but you need a few keywords, just write down the keywords. If you feel like you need structure and you kind of get lost, and maybe you want some keywords, then keep your outline as basic and minimal as possible so that you can just quickly glance at it like that, and you know what's next, what you're saying, and oh yes, I need to use that word. Now, the other thing here is that when you're speaking in front of others in general, someone asks you a question, you didn't prepare for it, and you need to answer the question, and you need that word, but it's not written down because you didn't prepare for the question that you are going to be asked by your boss. Then you feel, what's the word? I forget. Because you feel nervous. This is a totally different thing. This is a question of seizing up as a result of nerves, seizing up as a result of not being comfortable enough doing something, right? So I'll give you a simple example. Yesterday, I did something very stupid. When I feel under some pressure, I'll do potentially the dumbest things that you could possibly imagine. I was doing something, and my wife said, "Why are you doing it that way?" Not like yelling at me, but just somewhat questioning why I did it that way, right? And then I was thinking about that. That put me under a little bit of pressure. Why did I do it that way? I can't even remember what it was. But as I was thinking about that, because I was now under some pressure to answer why I did it that way, my actions suddenly made no sense. I was scooping the litter box. I have 2 cats, and cats go to the bathroom in what's called a litter box, and you need to scoop it. And we have special bags, small green bags specifically for that. But instead of taking one of those bags, I took one of the giant black trash bags that are not for that purpose. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I was halfway through. Why am I using the wrong trash bag? Why am I using this giant black trash bag for this thing? That's the dumbest thing I could possibly do. It's because I had, in my mind, kind of frozen up, and that had caused me to not be able to concentrate on what I was doing. Now, why do I mention this example? Well, this is a common thing. Anytime you're in a situation that you're not used to, that's new, that's untested, that you haven't thought about before. Anytime you're in that sort of situation, you get put out of your comfort zone. And that's very good. Being put out of your comfort zone means that you will be able to overcome that and get comfortable in it. Being pushed out of your comfort zone is the only way to make your comfort zone wider, right? But it becomes harder to, for example, when you're in a meeting and someone says, "Why did you do that?" to answer with the words that you need because you don't feel comfortable. You're outside of your comfort zone. So what you have to do is find ways to put yourself outside of your comfort zone in that way so that the next time your boss asks you a question and you need to give a 3-minute response, you feel a little more comfortable and a little more comfortable, and you gain confidence. As you gain confidence, as you start to feel used to this kind of thing, then, because you're relaxed, the words you need will come to you fairly automatically, right? But then you might say, okay, well, I'm not in a situation where I need to answer a question like that 3-4 times a week. Maybe only once a month or twice a month. It's not often enough. Right. That's the problem. You need to push yourself outside of your comfort zone more often so that when you come up against that kind of situation, you're used to it. So there are a couple things you can do, some of which I've talked about. You can join a meetup group with native English speakers where you have to participate, speak your opinions, say what you think in front of others, and do it twice a week, so that you get used to that feeling of someone asking you a question and you have to articulate your thoughts in English. Record yourself answering questions. Make sure you record yourself. Watch the video back. Look at it. Give yourself feedback. Get used to being under that kind of pressure, even if it's pressure you give to yourself. Schedule more meetings with your colleagues, with your English-speaking colleagues. Make sure it's something relevant to work, but push yourself a little bit to host a meeting, to have a meeting that you think is important, and be the one talking, the one explaining things, the one introducing things, to try to get used to that. And then you'll find, as you do these things and others, exercises, pushing yourself to host more meetings at work, joining meetups, starting a YouTube channel, this kind of thing, as you push yourself, you'll find that, oh, there's the word I need, because I feel more relaxed. The point is, when you feel relaxed, when you feel confident, when you feel comfortable, more things come to mind more easily. And the only way to get there is to push yourself so that your comfort zone expands. So I hope that answers your question, Amine. It's a good one. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Also, hit the like button or the thumbs up, and check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. Yeah, I was so surprised yesterday. Why am I using the giant black trash bag? What is wrong with me? And I realize it's because I made a mistake because I was distracted by something. I had been put off by something. I had been pushed out of my comfort zone slightly, and that caused a reduction in my abilities, right? Nihat got a better sound system and mic. That's great. It'd be a great interview. Yeah, Mary, when are you going to do an interview? When are you going to join an interview with me, huh? We should do that sometime. Let's set it up. Visal says, I have known him for 10 years. Someone says it means I still know him, even though it belongs to the past. It's a present action because it's a long-term verb. Yeah, that's right. That's a good question, Visal. Technical, but good. Korochi says, may you give me another expression of he has the hug. He has the hug. Don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. So sorry. Hug. Cherry is here. Hey, Cherry. Curlin? Curlin? Curlin. Cool name. Hey, Curlin. Renato Amaral. Hey, Luke. I'm from Brazil, and I'm living in Columbus, Georgia now. Talk about English accents from southeast of the United States. Sometimes it is difficult to understand how to improve it. Okay. That's an interesting one. I'll take that one on. How can I learn English besides school? I'm from Germany, and I want to get better. I really missed some good questions here. Okay, I'm going to take on this one first. I do want to get to one of the other ones as well. He has the hugs. I don't know what that means either. I'm sorry, Coherency. I don't know what that means. Has the hugs. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I don't know what it means. I feel bad about it, but I really don't. Renato says, Hi, Luke. I'm from Brazil, and I'm living in Columbus, Georgia now. Talk about English accents from southeast of the U.S. Sometimes it is difficult to understand how to improve it. Well, I think there's a simple answer to how to understand more. If you interact with people down there on a daily basis and you're really engaging with them, this problem will take care of itself. No matter where you go, as long as you're really interacting, as long as you know the language a little bit, and you're really interacting with people, engaging with people, they are around you, right? You will be able to understand more and more and more of the language, and you don't even need to try. It'll happen automatically. And you may even start to sound like that. So I would say the only thing you can do is have friends there, talk with people there, and have as much interaction as you can, and it'll occur automatically. That is a dialect thing, right? There are different dialects for different parts of countries. For example, in the UK, there are different kinds of dialects or accents in the UK. Well, the same is true in the United States. The United States is a huge country. So you have a general accent from Texas. You have an accent from the Southeast, from the East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, all different ways of speaking. Canada is not part of the United States, obviously, but there's a certain way, certain accent that you hear. And if you find yourself not being able to understand that accent, the only thing to do is expose yourself to it more. Be around it more, and you'll start to get a feeling for it. What is this Southeast U.S. accent? Well, it's something like slower, longer, and there are, of course, words and phrases that people wouldn't use, for example, where I live, which is New York. Right? So if I was going to try it, I'd say something like, Hi, Luke. I'm from Brazil, and I'm living in Columbus, Georgia. Talk about English accents from the Southeast. Sometimes it's difficult to understand. Now, that was Texas. I messed that one up. How to improve it. How to improve. I got to work on my accent. But that's the general idea. What is the difference? Well, it's longer, it's slower. Things are bent or twisted a little bit compared to how I would normally say things. Like, instead of hi, it would be hi. Right? Or instead of Brazil, maybe Brazil, zeal, more like a zeal, Brazil. That's maybe a mix between Texas and the South, right? Instead of Columbus. 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 Stretched out a little bit longer, and things are slightly bent from in the Northeast, where people are more short. So there are more, for example, schwa sounds, I think, in the Northeast, where vowels are compressed and neutral, a little bit more compressed and neutral instead of pulled out and bent. But then it's called the Southern drawl, by the way. Southern drawl is what it has a name. Then, though, there are words, specific words and phrases that people might use in the South that nobody I know where I live uses. Like, for example, y'all. What y'all doing? What y'all doing this weekend? What y'all doing this weekend? What y'all doing this weekend? What are you all doing this weekend? Except in the Northeast, we wouldn't even say you all. We would just say, what are you doing this weekend? Or if we wanted to make it more than one person, we would say, you guys. What are you guys doing this weekend? What are you guys doing this weekend? How kind of sharp and snappy that is. What are you guys doing this weekend? It's kind of a little bit more robotic and a little bit snappier is the only word I can think of. And then what y'all doing takes the ing sound and makes it just an N sound. And in fact, there's a spelling for it where there's an apostrophe after the N. And it is commonly associated with that Southern dialect, the Southern drawl. That drawl is a doing, thinking, having, waiting. Instead of an ing, it's in and then apostrophe, like that. Doing. I think it might be in the dictionary. I don't know. That's something to check. It might be. And then kind of smushing the sounds together instead of what are you guys? It's what y'all, what are you all? It's kind of smushing it together a little bit more. And I think it's interesting, the different ways that people speak around the United States and in other countries, I find fascinating. But if you go to California, if you go to the East Coast, the Midwest, Southwest, Texas, Southeast, Georgia, South Carolina, everybody speaks slightly differently, and it's fascinating to, I think, absorb these kinds of accents and dialects. And I would not encourage you to say, no, I must only learn one way of speaking. Try to get exposure to all of them if you can. And you're going to expand your abilities, your listening and your knowledge of the language, your ability to sort of get a feel for how people speak. It's, I think, pretty cool. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, of course, and check out my full English courses in the links in the description. Okay. Is it okay to use ain't instead of isn't in formal situations? No, generally not in formal situations. Ain't is a more casual spoken thing. Can you do a Valley Girl? Oh my God. Like, I just don't know if I can do it because at least I have to have my eyes closed. I mean, like, it's not something I can do naturally, but if I try, I mean, like, all I do is use a question tone after I say, say, oh my God, what was I saying? After I say something, I'll just make my voice go up and, like, add more likes and and, like, that's literally it. That's literally all I do. And then maybe add a little bit of fry like this. And you have to close your eyes a little bit and sometimes say, oh my God. That's my best. That's my best Valley Girl. That's all I can do. Oh my God. Oh my God. Inject a muscle relaxer into your jaws. Close your eyes. Do this. And then go up at the end. Uh, that's it. Okay. Luke, if it's conceivable for you to please talk about social moral relativism. Yikes. You done that. Wrong live stream. Wrong live stream, I think. Lure and tantalize, same meaning. Say lure. Lure is more of a. Usually, lure has a negative intention. You're trying to catch someone, right? You're trying to get someone to a bad situation. And tantalize would be more like, it could be more positive. Thanks, Tom Kloppy. I haven't answered your question yet, but I am planning to. Okay, I think I can take that one on. But let me get to that one after, because there's one question that I got earlier that I want to get to. Oh, Luba asked the question about, that I was afraid she was, oh no. Oh no! I was afraid of that question coming up. Maybe we can learn about it together, because I don't know the answer. I'm ashamed to say I don't know the answer, but maybe we can learn about it. We can learn about it together. Let me, yeah, I'll get to that one, Luba. Sorry. See if we can look it up. Okay. Okay. I did miss one. There's so many questions today. I think that's a good thing, but I do want to try to get to as many as I can. If I don't get to your question today, guys, please don't hate me. I mean, I can only do so much. There's one question I really wanted to answer. Giving Columbus, where is that one? Where is that one I wanted to answer? Oh, yes, here it is. All right, I really want to answer this question from Vissel, because I think that's a great one. Great question from Vissel here. My second cup of coffee. If you can't already tell, Vissel says, I have known him for 10 years. Someone says it means I still know him. Even though it belongs to past, it's a present action because it's a long-term verb like live, work. Okay, let's try to clarify this. You can't say that a verb is a long-term verb. That's the wrong way to think about this. Yes, it's true. Verbs can be things that continue for a long time, right? And saying something like live is different than saying something like nod, right? That's usually a single action, and live is something that can go on for 20 years or 100 years or 1,000 years, right? So yes, but we still don't usually break verbs down in that way because live and work, they can be used in a much shorter term way. Okay. So let's try to get away from that because I think that just confuses us. The real question here is, what the heck is present perfect tense? I think that's the real question here. And how is it really used? And is it really talking about the present or is it really talking about the past? Or both? Okay, so let's restate the question. I have known him for 10 years. Does that mean that I still know him? Does that mean that I only knew him in the past but don't anymore? Or does it mean that I knew him in the past at some point 10 years ago and I still know him? And the answer is number 3. I still know him, and my starting to know him is not in the present. That's in the past. So we're talking about a period of time. The present perfect tense can be used in different ways, but is often used to talk about an action which is true at the present moment, but which didn't begin just now, which began in the past. Days ago, weeks ago, months ago, years ago, decades ago, centuries ago, millennia ago. What else do we have? Epochs ago. Can't think of any others. So it's useful because then we can talk about a period of time. Okay? If I see you sitting down, eating breakfast, I can say, I thought you were going to wait for me to eat breakfast. How long have you been eating? Say, I've been eating for 20 minutes. I thought you weren't joining me for breakfast. Okay, so now that's an ing. So there's a sense of continuity. I'm still eating breakfast. I'm doing it now. I'm eating breakfast, and it started 20 minutes ago. But it doesn't have to be ing, because if I say, I've been here for 10 years, it's not an ing, but it's the same idea. I'm here still. I'm still here. Here I am. I'm here. Right? And I started this state of being here 10 years ago. Now, you can use since or for. For is to talk about the time period, for 10 years. Since is to talk about the beginning point, since 2011. So if I've been living in this city for 10 years, then I can say, I've been here for 10 years. I've been living here for 10 years. I have lived here for 10 years. I've been here since 2011. I've been living here since 2011. I've lived here since 2011. All correct, and they all essentially mean the same thing, with the slight difference of the ing giving us a slightly stronger feeling of the continuity of it being now. Like the eating thing would be perfect for that. I'm doing it right now. It's like ongoing action, a very clear action that I can see. Eating, nom, 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 nom. Right? Been living, okay. Been knowing? No, we don't say been knowing, right? I would say I've been friends with him for 10 years. I have known him for 10 years. I have been friends with him for 10 years. I have known him for 10 years. What it means is, yes, I know him. I have been friends with him. Yes, we're friends. And that friendship started 10 years ago. And the period of time is 10 years. You could also say the starting time. I have known him since 2011. I have been friends with him since 2011. All of those are okay. Now, there are other ways to use the present perfect tense, but the most common is this. We have a present thing which is continuing, which is still ongoing, that is not in the past completely, but started in the past. If it's in the past completely, then we're either going to use the simple past tense. I knew him for 10 years. I don't anymore. Maybe he died. That would be the only way we could say it. Because even if you're not friends, you could still say you know him, unless he's not there anymore. Or maybe he lives on the moon or something. Well, even then, if somehow you don't know him anymore, let's just say that, then we might say simple past. I knew him for 10 years. Or some past action happened and we want to talk about a period of time before that past action. I was friends with him for 10 years until he moved to the moon. And now we're not friends anymore because he thinks that Earth people are bad. And he said, we can't be friends anymore because now I live on the moon. Then that would be past perfect tense. That's a different one. It operates in a similar way to present perfect tense. It's all shoved into the past. I hope that answers your question. That's as simple as I think I can make it. I hope it's clear. Practice it, though. You really got to get a feeling for it. And I'm glad you've had this friend for 10 years. That's fantastic. I wonder if it's hard to maintain a friendship when one of your friends lives on the moon. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button or the thumbs up button. That helps the channel tremendously. Also, make sure to check out my full courses in the links in the description. They are on sale. Okay. Vissel, a great question from Vissel. A classic question from Vissel. Tom Kloppy says, we really just had that stuff in school, and you are better than my teacher. Oh, thank you. It is good to say I had been talking for 10 months, and I didn't see the reason why. Yes, but if it's all in the past, then it would work. Yeah. A lot of questions from Tom. I'm trying to isolate your first question here. I think you just have known him for 10 years. Let me see. I'm trying to find the original question from Tom. Tom Kloppy says, how do I learn English besides school? I want to get better. And I think the answer to this is, well, the only way to learn English is besides school. If the way that you learn in school is to teach you vocabulary and grammar, the emphasis or the focus is not usually on usage. So what I've found is that many English learners who have a background, a well of knowledge of English, can improve their spoken English faster because they learned that in school. But what they learned in school is not what allows them to be better speakers of English, to use the language more naturally. So, middle school, I learned a bunch of new vocabulary and a bunch of grammar, and I had to take exams. It's not useless, but it's not what makes you a native-sounding speaker or a fluent speaker of the language. It's the resource or the stuff that you have, the material that you can use. You can pull on that, and you can use it when you decide you want to work on your spoken English skills. So then what you have to do if you want to actually get better is surround yourself with the real language rather than grammar books and learning lists of vocabulary, things which are totally disconnected from usage. Surround yourself with usage. Surround yourself with real sentence patterns by reading books, English books. Find books that you like to read, novels, nonfiction, whatever you enjoy reading. Surround yourself with spoken English. Watch the news. Listen to podcasts. Whatever is at your level. Watch movies. If you need to use subtitles, use English subtitles. Immerse yourself as best you can. Try to imagine you're in a native English-speaking country. Surround yourself with it. So that's what you get. That's your input, rather than the book and the examples in the books being your input. Now, real English is your input. Instead of just a list of vocabulary, now real vocabulary in context, in sentences, is your input. Oh, I learned a word. I didn't just learn a word, I learned a sentence, and how this word fits in the sentence, and how people use this word in sentences. Now I don't just know the word, I know the word. I know how to use the word. I understand the word. And if you ask me to make a sentence or explain something with the word, I could do that. That's knowing the word. But that happens through exposure to the real language and people who really speak it. So you can't only learn English in that academic middle school, high school way. That's only something that's useful as background, really, background stuff. The other part of that is to practice, to find ways to use the language, to practice writing, to write for fun, to write because you enjoy it, to speak, find situations where you can speak, to record yourself speaking, to join meetup discussions, to as often as you can, wherever you can, participate and use the language and get comfortable using the language. And if you do all of those things, you're going to find that your English goes from awkward, strange usage, why are you using that word? That's very academic sounding, to natural, easy to listen to, and you can use it without thinking too much about it, okay? That's really it. Imagine you're living in a native English-speaking country. Immerse yourself and don't hide behind books. Don't hide behind textbooks, yes, or lists of vocabulary. That's probably not going to help you in the long term. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, or the thumbs up button and subscribe. Also, feel free to check out my full courses, which are on sale in the links in the description. Okay. Can I talk about... we have the question from Luba. Whew. Full Armani says, can you answer this, please? As per. Is this correct in English? We use it in business emails. As per is correct. Yes. Yes. Full Armani. As per is correct. Depending on how you use it, you got to make sure you're using it correctly. But Curlin says, how can I have you as my private teacher? Very simple. You can't. Unless we do like an interview or something and it's live. Someone is willing to do a live conversation with me on stream, then we can talk. Then we can talk. Let's see. I'm going to attempt Luba's question, even though I don't know the answer. Which is always a risky thing to do. Move these aside for a second, make sure that I'm actually visible. Okay. All right. I'm going to attempt Luba's question. Luba says, Luke, please could you tell us, what do you call cousins' children in English? We discussed it in the group today, and we could not believe that you call them cousins in English. And I'm deeply ashamed to say that I don't know, although I think it's second cousin. I always get confused between second cousin and cousin once removed. I have cousins who have children, right? But I don't interact with them. I don't spend time thinking about them, and I don't call them anything. I have lots of them. I'm ashamed to say I don't know most of their names. I don't know any of their names. How embarrassing. Well, there's only one thing we can do. And the only thing we can do is Google it together. So shall we do that? Shall we Google it together? I'm going to pop over here to Google. What do we call the children of your cousin? Okay. Search that. Oh, let me pop over so you can see my browser here. Okay. All right. So we've got cousins once removed. Cousins once removed. Okay. Children of your cousin are actually, I zoom in a little bit here. Children of your cousin are actually called your first cousin once removed. Your cousin child is not your second child. So another way to say that is, Luke, you're wrong, you idiot. As is commonly believed. Well, if it's commonly believed, then that's what it is, right? That's ridiculous. The appropriate name for addressing your cousin's child is niece or nephew, even though they're actually your cousins once removed? What? That doesn't make sense. So we have three things going on here. We have the thing that people usually say, which is second cousin, which is wrong, even though it's something people often say. So the thing people often say is wrong, apparently. And then the appropriate thing that you should say to them is niece or nephew, even though they are actually first cousins once removed. I vote that we get rid of this first cousin once removed nonsense. It seems like it's bursting at the seams to be changed. No one remembers. Right? I should know this. If this were actually a thing that people know, I should know, right? I mean, I'm not a total moron. I should know what this is called, and I don't. I call them. My first instinct is to call them my nieces and nephews, even though they're not. That would be my instinct. So why would I call them my first cousin once removed, right? I'm going to click on this. Oh, cousins chart. Ooh, cousins chart. Ah. Okay. Oh, we got also some rings for sale. Nice. The cousins chart. Here's how to finally understand all your family relationships. I'm learning this too, guys, so we're learning together, all right? And if you want to buy some rings, you can go to Manly Bands. Those are cool, actually. I like those. Okay, where's the chart? Okay, nuclear family. This is your primary family group. Mother, father, brother, sister, spouse, children. Nuclear family. Got it. Uncle and aunt. These are the siblings of your parents. Okay, so far, I know this stuff. All right, so far we're good. It also includes their spouses. Okay, so my mother's brother is my uncle, but also his wife, who is not my mother's sister, is my aunt, or my aunt, if you want to say it that way. All right, so far, so good. I'm comfortable with this. The son and daughter of your sibling. As with uncle and aunt or aunt, these people are not considered your niece by marriage. Ugh. Let's not get into that. All right, so I have two nephews. My little brother has two kids. They're my little nephews, and that's what I call them. Little nephew. They're very cute. Cousin. Your cousin, also known as first cousin, full cousin, or cousin German, what, is the child of your parents' sibling. Okay, that makes sense? So my uncle's children, they're my cousins. I call them my cousins. Fine. So far, so good. Double cousins. Although rare in present day, double first cousins necessitate a seat at the family diagram table too. When a set of siblings from one family marries a set of siblings from another family, their kids are not only first cousins, they're double cousins. Okay. We don't need to learn that. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I refuse to learn that. Let me make this bigger. I refuse to learn it. I refuse to learn that. This is what we want. Here we go. And now we're getting to the action. You and the child of your parents. Okay, wait. Slow down. I got to understand the sentence. You and the child of your parents' cousin are second cousins. Let's think about that for a second. Me and the child of my parents' cousin. So my father's cousin has children. Then I'm second cousins with that child. Okay, I think that makes sense. The two of you share at least one set of grandparents. Okay, I think I understand, although that's complicated, but okay. All right, cool. Third cousin, following the same equation. As second cousins, third cousins are cousins of two added generations between yourselves and your... Oh, this is... Okay, I refuse to learn that. I don't want to learn that. I don't care. First cousin once removed. This is the action. So we're trying to understand the difference between second cousin and first cousin once removed. Okay. If your first cousin has a child... Okay, so my cousin is my uncle and aunt. They have a kid, my cousin. Okay. If your first cousin has a child, that child is your first cousin once removed. Removed refers to a difference in generation from you and your first cousin. You can think of it relative to that shared set of ancestors, blah, blah, blah. Removed simply means they're not in the same generation. So because they're not in my generation, my cousins are in my generation, their children are a generation under me. So removed means there's a shift in generation. I can understand that, but I still think it's ridiculous. Okay? The removed business is often confused with labeling a relative a second or third cousin. Yes, which is inaccurate. That's what you say. That's your opinion. I think you're inaccurate. A cousin of any degree will always be in the same generation as you. That's important. A cousin of any degree will always be in the same generation as you. So if it's a second cousin, third cousin, fourth cousin, now I understand. Second cousin, third cousin, fourth cousin, fifth cousin, they're on the same line as you in generation. They're around your same age. Well, they don't have to be your same age group, but they're in the same generation in your family. And then if it goes down one, then it's been removed. Okay. But apparently, you can still call those cousins once removed your nephew and your niece, which is what I would want to call them anyway. So, well, it all makes slightly more sense to me, although somehow, for some reason, I still don't really like it. I don't know why. I feel like it should be simpler, right? It should be simpler. Well, that's it. I don't know if that answers your question, Luba, or confuses you more. I feel like I understand things slightly better now. If I want to answer the second, third cousin thing, all I have to do is look to the right and to the left. And if I want to answer the once removed thing, I have to look to the right or the left and then down, because they're the next generation. It kind of makes sense. Well, regardless, whether it does or it doesn't, if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Also, check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. Okay. Crazy. So complicated. It's complicated. I met my mother's grandmother. I guess I was 7 or 8 years old. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So many questions coming today, guys. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but make sure you're here for the next one. If I don't get to your question today, ask it next time. I have a thing I want to share. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. Of course it's okay. Hold on. Hold on. I need my earphones for this one. All right. Pop these on. I've decided to move away from the giant headphones for a little while. There is one extremely effective exercise you can use to improve either your spoken or written English. This is effective because it forces you to comprehend, process, and then make something with what you've comprehended and processed. This exercise simply is a summary. But it's very important that when you make a summary, you do it in your own words, as you understand it, rather than trying to remember exactly what word or words you heard or read. Now, we're going to do this with a video. I'm recommending that you do summary exercises with videos because that forces you to develop your listening skills, and it feels more conversational. It feels more like a situation you would encounter in your daily life rather than looking at something. Also, it makes it less tempting to go word for word. If you read a summary and then you read a text, if you read a text and then you try to do a summary based on the text, you might be tempted to repeat some of the sentences exactly. Whereas if you hear something, you can't even remember it well enough to do exactly word for word. So it forces you to actually think about what it's about and say it in your own words. That's the exercise. We're going to actually do it. I'm going to show it to you, a real example. I haven't practiced this. I'm going to do it just like you would do it, okay? So, steps. Number 1, you pick a video. Should be short, but not too short. 30 seconds, probably too short. A minute, maybe too short. 2 minutes to 3 minutes, probably good. Has to be long enough so that you can't remember almost every word. Okay, so a couple minutes. 10 minutes is probably too long. So you choose a video, find one that's challenging. If it's too easy and you understand every single word, then you're not really pushing yourself. Make sure you're challenging yourself a little bit. News, interviews, conversations, a short YouTube video about something, TEDx, they have some good videos, things like that, okay? I'm not telling you exactly what you have to find, but I'm going to do a news clip. Step 2, you watch it. Watch it once, watch it twice, watch it as many times as you need. Take notes if you want. Try to remember the main points. Now, you're not trying to understand specific words and phrases. What you're trying to do is remember what it's about. So, as you're listening, what is this about? What are they talking about? And then once you understand it, forget about it. Now you have an understanding of what this is about. Then you imagine, step 3, imagine that you're explaining what that's about to someone who may or may not watch that. Oh, there's a really good video about this. You should check it out. And then they say, oh yeah? Tell me more about it. Oh, well. So imagine that you're explaining this video to someone who may watch it. And you're giving them a summary, and that summary may encourage them to watch it. They might watch it because you gave a summary. Or if your summary is so good, maybe they don't need to watch it because your summary is great. So I like to imagine it that way. I'm explaining it to someone in a slightly simpler way to give them the main ideas of that, okay, in my own words. That's the exercise. That's all it is. Now, you can write this down if you want to. If you want to do this as a writing exercise, you can do it as a writing exercise. I'm going to do it as a speaking exercise, and as we watch the video, I'm going to be making a couple of notes, because again, I'm doing this right now, okay? So I haven't practiced this. I'm going to be taking a couple notes so that I can remember a few things, so that when I do my summary, I will at least be able to follow the main points. I'm not writing down what's in the video. I'm writing down what I think it means. I'm writing down my understanding of it, okay? So let's check out the video. Here we go.
There's been violence in Oakley's main shopping strip as angry lockdown protesters clashed with police. The mask-free mob claims the stay-at-home orders are killing more people than they're protecting. Laura Turner was there.
Oakley's Eaton Mall paved with aggression. But lead demonstrators were met with no-nonsense police. They claim this is their right.
I'm in my 5Ks. I'm here exercising my legs with my flag.
While an arrest was made, animosity toward police boiled.
You f***ing bully. You're a bully, mate.
Their message embroiled in anger.
Report the truth.
Start talking to you, mate.
Report the truth or get the out of my face.
Demonstrators down here deny that this is a protest, rather an act of support for local businesses.
Stop complying, everyone. Stop complying. Get out of your houses. Kiss your nana on the lips. Kiss your kids.
But the organising group made no contact with local businesses ahead of the demonstration, though there were traders there in support, levelling anger at the Premier.
And it's just total lies. Forget spin, it's not spin. Two cases. Like, it's just beyond comprehension. And we've got to get a voice.
And inside local stores, the word was, in terms of finances, this third lockdown takes the cake.
I would say about $25,000.
And how do you get that back?
Well, we don't.
Across Melbourne, lockdown fatigue. At the Tan and on the Bay, masks appeared optional, a frustration that's reached the suburbs.
You don't know what tomorrow brings. Are you going to open your doors?
Where the anger resulted in one arrest and 2 infringement notices. Though not everyone agreed this was the way to make a point.
If you guys are crazy, put on your masks. You're in a crowd.
The thing at the end. You guys are crazy. Put on your masks. And then boo. That guy's brave, though, to go into a bunch of protesters like that and tell them that they're crazy. Very interesting. Okay. Now, you might then pick up, as you listen to this or another video you watch, some idioms. This one takes the cake. Paved. Okay, they're using paved in an interesting way. Take the cake in an interesting way. There are some interesting idioms that you could pick out here. That's kind of beside the point. So it's great that you learn some new expressions, some new idioms, but that's not what this exercise is about. So you write down a few points, things you want to remember, things you want to say. If you don't want to write them down, fine. Then you just try it. Record yourself. So I'm going to try a rough version of a general summary of what's going on here so that you would have the basic idea that then you could make a decision on. You could use that and say, okay, I want to watch that video or not. Okay, it should be good enough so that you know what the basic idea is. It's very important to note that there's not only one way to do this. There are many ways to do this. Right? There are 100 different ways, 1,000, 1,000,000 different ways to give a summary, and you shouldn't lock yourself into doing it one specific way. So, here we go. In Australia, there have been some protests against the restrictions that the government is placing on small businesses and on people in general regarding the coronavirus situation. Some people have come out against it, exercising what they say is their free speech to say that they don't have to wear masks and to confront the police and let the police know that, hey, we have the right to decide not to wear a mask. We have the right to run our businesses. The protesters who came out and clashed with the police, they said they were there to support businesses. But that's questionable. They may have been there to support businesses, but the businesses were not contacted before the protest that happened recently. So a lot of people yelling, a lot of people screaming about freedom of speech and being forced to wear masks and obey restrictions. And one person was arrested at the recent protest. Then the question is this actually affecting local businesses? The restrictions. Yes, it seems to be negatively affecting businesses. A lot of business owners are saying, I don't know what's coming next. I don't know when the rules are going to change. It's hurting my business. I've lost a lot of money. The restrictions are not helping, and it's really hurting my ability to support myself. So some business owners seem to be really frustrated by it, and there seems to be a lot of disagreement about wearing masks. Not that everyone thinks that, but seems like there's a pretty large group of people who are very against it in public. So generally, then, the rules that are meant to keep people safe in the time of a pandemic are, in Australia, and in fact, I would add a lot of other countries, including the United States, not accepted by everyone. Okay, so that's my summary. I could do it again differently. I could try it again and make it a little more condensed, a little more maybe compact. But doing different versions of it is actually a good way to practice expressing your thoughts more clearly, right? You could do a version of it that's less than 20 seconds and try that out and see how clear that can be. Try different things. Play around with it. Try doing it spoken, record yourself. Try doing it written. Try to write a summary and see if you can make it as clear and simple as possible. It's really a great way to work on your listening. It's a great way to learn new idioms and phrases. And it's a great way to improve your general speaking ability and your general writing ability, right? Because you have to actually explain something in your own words. Okay. If you have any questions about how to do this, if you want to share your summaries, please do that in the comments. Please share your summaries, your examples, the things that you're working on in the comments. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and also check out my full courses in the links in the description. Okay. All right. Did you guys find that easy or difficult to listen to, that original video? Out of a 10, how hard is it? First time to watch this, and I really like the lesson. Hope to join you every time you're live. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I know that there are other questions here, but it's almost 5 p.m. over here, and I haven't eaten a single bite of food today. And suffice it to say, I am starving, famished, gnawing hunger, very hungry. So I'm not going to answer any more questions today, although I want to, which means those of you who didn't get your questions answered, please bring them for next time, and I'll do my best to answer your questions next time. Okay, so please understand, I can't always answer every single question. I apologize, but we have limited time. So thanks for joining. Thanks for the questions. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go eat something. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you this week for 1 or 2 more live streams. I don't quite have a regular schedule yet, so just make sure you're subscribed so that you can see when we go live. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to check out the courses, guys, and I will see you in the next one.